Welcome back to 3D Boxing Podcast. Great show today. Loaded show today. We got my boy Muscles, but we got a special guest, Jonny Says Boxing. Introduce yourself and tell everyone where they can find you.
What's up, guys? What's up, Gary? What's up, Muscles? Thanks for having me back on the channel. If you guys aren't following me, YouTube, Jonny Says Boxing. And I think Simon says, Jonny says, that's why I say it. But you can just call me Jonny.
And Muscles, it's a pleasure to have you on, Jonny. We're going to get into it in just a minute. There's a reason why you're on today. We're going to have a little battle. But Muscles, introduce yourself and tell me where they can find you, too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You guys already know Muscle Brown. You guys can get me at Muscle Brown on Instagram. You can get me on Muscle Brown on, what else? On Snapchat, and you can also get me at Carlos Saya Brown on Facebook. Those are the main three social media platforms that I use. Usually Facebook and Instagram are my main ones. You can connect with me on there, and you can also get me on the Discord too. And that's it, man. Let's get to it, fellas.
Yeah, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you have not already. Remember to join the Patreon. Get the lock of the week. Get Ask the Bookie Anything. Get the live betting that we do in the Discord. Get access to the Discord absolutely free when you join the Patreon. Link is in the description. It's pinned in the chat. It's in the ticker below. Just $5 a month gets you the absolute best gambling advice anywhere in the known boxing universe. So make sure to join the Patreon. All right. You ready to get into this, Jonny?
Let's rock and roll, brother.
I'm going to bring up the book. Me and Jonny disagree on the Sheeraz Berlanga fight. You guys know who I pick Sheeraz on. I'm guessing you know who he picks. I'll let you make your case first, Jonny. Right now, the odds of Berlanga, these have swung. Berlanga is now plus 105.
Yeah.
Sheeraz, and this is according to DraftKings.
Yeah.
Sheeraz at minus 130 on the money line. How does your book in Australia have it? And tell us why you like Berlanga.
Okay, so yeah, right now I'm looking. If you guys are in Australia, the book I use, it's called Sports Bet. Currently on the money line odds, Edgar Berlanga is a $2.10 underdog, meaning 100 on him gets you your money back plus 110. The draw 16-1, and Sheeraz is a $1.83 favorite, meaning you put 100 on Hamza, you get your money back plus $83. But I have seen it over the last 24 hours. Kind of float. I have seen Sheeraz though the favorites since the fight got announced, so that hasn't shifted. Do you want me to just go right into why I think Edgar is going to win the fight?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys aren't familiar with my channel, you could go to my channel. I do live streams every day, similar to Gary, but I also do edited, produced, breakdown analysis, prediction videos like Gary. If you want to find those, go to my playlist under fight predictions. I just uploaded Berlanga versus Sheeraz yesterday. And when I'm breaking down the tape, look, and even when I bet guys to win, sometimes I'll bet against my friend. So I want to clarify that real quick. I'm coming from the advice my father once gave me regarding betting. Jonny, bet with your wallet, never with your heart. And so I reference that because I don't want you guys to get a misconception that, I'm a hater on Sheeraz or I'm a fanboy Berlanga. I'm not a fan of any fighter. I'm a fan of boxing. With that being said, I'm putting money on this fight. Watching film study, what have you done for me lately? We know Berlanga. He fought a guy in Gonzalez. The dude was a prospect 12 years ago. He hadn't fought in 10 years. In my opinion, Berlanga took that fight to kind of help one of his boys from Puerto Rico out, maybe give him some money. It looked like that to me. You're not going to find that written about. And then he had Canelo. The guy loses to Canelo and has a victory parade. That's freaking insane. So however you want to take that, the victory parade after an L is wild to me. I mean, the parade had cars, candy throwing. It was insane. And initially, I was hating on him about it. And the more I sat with it, I was like, that kind of fits Berlanga's personality. All right, that's what he's done in his last two. With Sheeraz, people are going to always talk about, his best victory because, what's fighter's best victory? What have they looked like lately? It's tough to find Berlanga's best victory. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat anything about his resume. Shiraz's best victory, you guys are going to tell me it's Ammo Williams. Now, if we want to play chess and talk about that victory, personally, I don't think Ammo is world class. I think he has a lot of flaws. I like him. He's instant entertainment. Every time Ammo fights, I tune in. I'm an Ammo fan. I actually thought Ammo lost to Patrice Volney, but I won money on that fight because I took Ammo to win. Okay, that being said, I also don't think Ammo is a national 160 guy. I think he's small for that division. He's kind of an in-betweener. I'd like to see Ammo at 54. All that aside, we know that Sheeraz stopped him. Okay, in that fight, he got hit a lot. It is his best victory, right?
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. Ammo's his best victory.
Okay,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then we have to turn the page and look at Adames. Okay, the Adames victory. Another guy, depending on how you score that, I streamed that one live. I watched it a couple different times. Sheeraz was up early, and I think I had Sheeraz up 3-1 going into the 5th, and a lot of this had to do, since we saw how it played out, that was Adames' game plan. Traditionally, kind of a slow starter. He was like almost looked kind of like dead in the water. But when you watch how he turned it on I think it was the 4th or 5th, he was waiting to see what Sheeraz was going to show him. And then he started getting busy, very close fight. I'm glad they didn't rob Adames. I'm not going to say that, I think Adames should have won that fight. I do. I gave Adames at least 2 rounds over Sheeraz. I'm just fortunate they didn't take the belt from him. Sheeraz is a dangerous fighter, guys. Everything, he ticks all the boxes physically. Tall, lanky. He's smart. He could fight you off the back foot. He could fight you going forward. He has a good jab. All of these things. He's going to be the younger guy, a little bit taller, a little bit longer of a reach. The thing about Sheeraz, why I'm picking Berlanga to win, is all of that aside, I think Sheeraz is a bit too brave for his boots. If I was Sheeraz, I would box the entire time from the outside, outpoint him, and win on rounds. But we've seen Sheeraz. He's kind of a dog. And with that being said, I think he's a bit leaky in his defense, in the pocket. And what Berlanga does well, you could call it really well. You could call it well for his skill set. What I like from Berlanga, I think his hands are faster than a lot of people give him credit for. I like his hand speed. I like his power. I like his willingness and his grittiness to exchange in the pocket. We've seen both guys get dropped before. Sheeraz got dropped against the guy in the 2nd round 3 fights ago. He ended up stopping him. He got dropped Francisco Torres fight, ended up stopping him. But then, we saw Berlanga gets, dropped before, and I'm leaning on Berlanga's grittiness, toughness, his speed, and his power to beat Sheeraz. I think that he's going to be able to get past Shiraz's jab, and I think he's going to be able to pull him into deep, darker waters. I don't like Shiraz's body language in his last fight. 5th, 6th round, say he had an injury. I'll give you that. Say he's training with Andy Lee. I'll give you that. I still like Berlanga. I'm leaning on him to be tougher than him. It's hard for me to see Sheeraz going to New York and beat him.
There's a couple things I wanted to touch on. I was taking notes while you were talking. First, the Patrice Volney fight. That's interesting, right? Because Muscles bet the ranch on that house. He's picked
the ranch.
I think Ammo Williams. Yeah,
he was sweating.
I thought the rounds were close, but I thought Ammo was winning every one of them. I had it like 8-2, and then there were a lot of people who are on board with you that thought it was a draw or maybe Volney won. I didn't see it like that. Muscles was sweating. He was texting me like, "Gee, how you got it?" Gee, I'm like, "We're good." And then I think
I was going crazy.
I'm like, I don't even think this is close. Like, it's competitive, but I think he's carried every round. But I heard a lot of people who I respect, who said they thought the fight was a draw. Or maybe they thought Volney won. I was like, I had like 8-2 for Ammo wins. I didn't even think it was close. Like,
I guess, yeah.
The rounds were close. The rounds were competitive. It wasn't like Ammo was washing him, but I thought he was winning every round.
I guess it just depends on what you're, if you like the big punching, if you like the power, if you like that aggressive sort of style, I see that. But you could also watch that with the other counter narrative. Do you like the technique? Do you like the smoothness? Do you like the slickness? I actually thought Volney impressed me. Like I said, I picked Ammo to win. I won money on Ammo. But I left the fight thinking like, damn, Volney's a lot better than I thought he was.
I agree with that. I thought Ammo was going to wash him, potentially stop him.
Yeah.
And it was competitive. Like, at no point was Volney not in the fight. I don't think he was winning rounds, but he was in the fight. He was very, very competitive in the fight, for sure.
That's a good way of putting it.
The other thing was the Adames fight. Like, I see Sheeraz get so much hate for the Adames fight. He fought Adames to a draw. Like, to me, that's this, like, if you look at both of their resumes, the best win either guy has is Ammo Williams. The next best win either guy has is a draw with Adames. Now, I watched that fight live, and I was scoring it with Muscles. I had it 7-5 one way. Muscles had it 7-5 the other way. I watched it again. I scored it a draw. I watched it doing my tape. I scored it again because I'm like, this fight's really close. To me, like, people are going to say Sheeraz got a gift by getting a draw. I think a draw is completely fair. Watching it live, I had it 7-5 Sheeraz. Watching the tape, I had it 6-6. Like, I think that was a draw. And to me, I don't care what weight. I don't care that Adames is a weight class smaller than Berlanga. I think Adames would tool on Berlanga. And the reason why I'm picking Sheeraz is not because I think Sheeraz is a great fighter. It's that I think Berlanga is criminally overrated. He's mechanical. His speed's not bad, but his punches are a little loopy. His footwork is atrocious. You see him making, like, he crosses his feet and stuff like an amateur, right? And I've noted this about Barrios too. Like, his feet aren't good, right? Like, he's slow. He's mechanical. He doesn't work the body. For a guy that can hit like that, get to the body.
Ryan Garcia, no feet. I mean, you see it a lot. You never. I don't think we'd see this 20 years ago in boxing. I think that what you're bringing up a really good point that I think goes a lot deeper than 1 or 2 or 3 fighters. Like, I think it's a coaching issue at the world-class level, universally within our sport, that I think a lot of fighters are kind of skipping class on some of the fundamentals when it comes to footwork.
A guy like Barrios, right? Like, I've known him his whole career. I've known him since he's an amateur. I've known him, he's fighting as a 122 and a 126 pounder, right? So they found this guy who had a decent but not spectacular amateur career. And he was 6'1", 122 pounds, and he could hit. Like, let's just sign this guy. As you can see, they rushed him along. His dad was his trainer, and he got this other trainer, Rick Nunez, who's one of my best friends. And they're like, he has to get away from his dad. His dad's a nut job. We have to get him away from his dad. So they're going to send him to Ronnie Shields. And Ronnie Shields like, love Mario, know him from the amateur, send him my way. One rule, his dad cannot step foot in my camp under any circumstance, right? So Mario's like, I can't do it. And then they're like, all right, I got an idea. He's in Texas. We're going to send him to Oakland. His dad can't follow him. We're going to send him to Oakland and train with Verge. And that's how he got there. I never thought Verge was the right trainer for him. And then, he got with Santos later. But at no point did they ever really develop him, right? They just tried to move him along. At no point did they ever sit down and really teach him how to fight. They saw a 6'1" bantamweight, a super bantamweight, who turned out to be a 140, 147 pounder. And they just wanted to rush him along. They wanted to get him to a title before he outgrew 120. And then there was a fight at 130, right before he got with Verge, where the day of the fight, they had to change the contract to wait till like 134 because he thought they were going to kill him. Like, that's how much they were trying to get the weight off of him. And his trainer finally said, all right, cut it. Either they fight at 134 or the fight's off, right? Like, we can't make 130 anymore. And then they took him to Verge, and they said, Verge, 135 or he can't work with you. And Verge looked at him and was like, no, 140 or he's not working with me, right? That's how much weight he was cutting. But my point is, I say all that, there was never any development, right? They never really taught him how to fight. He wasn't a spectacular amateur. He was just a pretty good amateur with the body and the power of, like, they thought they could turn into a world champion, and they did. But that whole time, it was just weight camp and move him along. Weight camp and move him along. At no point did they really ever teach him how to fight because the whole camp was cutting weight. Yeah. Because he was so big, right? So he never really developed that way. Now, I guess all's well that ends well. He's a 2-division world champion. So,
it's crazy. I mean, he's fought Tank. He's fought Keith Thurman.
Yeah.
He's Ugas.
About to fight Pacquiao. Yeah.
He's about to fight Manny. I mean, that's a great. I see your point. But it's one of those things when you look at how fighters are carried along. Think about Wilder. Gets into boxing late. Everyone loves his backhand. He didn't develop any. You kind of could fall in love with that one thing. And Berlanga, to your point, Berlanga starting his career when his amateur to the professional career, getting all those knockouts, you could tell that he drank his Kool-Aid in terms of like, hey, if it's working, why do I have to change anything? First round knockouts as well, so he's not getting a lot of rounds in. He's not getting a lot of valuable experience in. And I think this is why I think the parade is funny now. People were in his head. Look at his total rounds fought. I think he's not even at 80 career total rounds. Berlanga is. So in his head, he feels he won that Canelo fight, not on the paper, but he feels like he proved doubters wrong because some of his doubters were like, there's no way you could last the entire fight with Canelo. You're a one-round fighter sort of guy. So I see. It's tough for me to see Hamza. Man, I was a huge Hamza guy. A couple fights ago. I actually, even though he beat Ammo the way he beat him, I thought he was going to be more technically sound going into the Adames fight. And I'm a body language guy as well. Like my first part of my education, in college was sports psychology. So I'm all about nonverbal communication. I use it when I bet. I watch the weigh-ins, you watch eye contact, and I'm always watching in between rounds and corner work. And man, from rounds 4 onward to see Sheeraz not have a plan B or C in terms of he's looking at his corner. What do I do against Adames? He didn't have any answers. He was big-eyed in there. That
was not good. It
kind of worried me a bit.
Adjustment in the ring, and it worries me against world-class fighters.
Berlanga's
I don't think he's a world-class fighter. I really don't. I think he's a world-class hitter. I've never liked thinker. Him.
My thing is, Berlanga's a guy. Sometimes we can overthink, and Berlanga's not a dude who's going to be a big thinker in there.
No, he's not.
You know what I'm saying?
He's trying to get you out of there. That's it.
Yes,
call it a night.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm expecting body work in the pocket. I'm expecting Berlanga to fight Sheeraz's ego. I'm expecting him to go body up top and break him. I can see it.
And he's fighting at home, so he's got all the, you know what I'm saying, the motivation for it.
But we're not always right, mate. I was wrong. My heart was with Raleigh, but my wallet was with Ryan, and I should have listened, and when Raleigh won, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch, but I bet against him, and I would have won. But
see, the only thing I bet on that, because I hated the odds, it was like Ryan was a huge favorite. I said, that's way too wide. I bet on someone to be knocked down, and I won that like in the second round. I won that right away. That was the only bet I put on that. Yeah.
And I remember when EJ fought Bud, I'm a fan of Arrow. I loved him in the amateurs. I think a lot of us were. But in my breakdown, I talked about that fight. I put my money on Bud to win, though. And it's like, I'm watching that fight. I'm a diehard Errol Spence Jr. fan. And I just felt like that sort of one-dimensional southpaw marauding style, on the front foot, jab, body work. It works until it doesn't work. And obviously we know about the car crash and the wars that he had been in. And I just thought Bud was the smart pick. So my point is, I'm not always going to bet on guys that I'll bet against the home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's say Sheeraz is going to have the opportunity to go viral. I think both guys. That's another thing that people don't talk about. It's why this matchup is really interesting, is because we know the importance of virality in social media in terms of fighters' brands growing, being marketed. It's why I picked Richardson Hitchens to stop George. I thought George was going to be tailor-made for Richardson Hitchens to get that viral moment. Watch my breakdown. I was like, we're going to see Hitchens on the corner of the ropes, having his moment, screaming at the crowd when he stops George. I was like, it's tailor-made for him to do that because he had all the skills. He just wasn't confident enough yet to open his bag up. And he's still gaining that confidence. Hitchens I'm talking about. I think Sheeraz and Berlanga, whatever way you pick, it could happen on either end. I could see Berlanga getting stopped. I could see Sheeraz stopping Berlanga, but I'm leaning on Berlanga.
I just don't see, I don't think Berlanga has the skill set to get inside his jab. I think he's going to be kept at bay at that jab. And even if he gets inside, like I said, Berlanga doesn't really work the body, so I can't see him breaking him down, wearing him down. To me, the only chance Berlanga has is to land something big, and I don't see him getting on the inside to land something big. I don't think he has the feet. I think he loses the battle. I don't see him getting inside to land that shot. To me, he doesn't have the skill set to deliver the big shot he needs. And people give him his flowers for that Canelo fight. I'm watching the Canelo fight, and this is a washed Canelo who struggled with William School. Canelo dominated him, dropped him several times, I think 3 times, beat the hell out of him. I don't think Berlanga won 1 round in that fight. I don't think he won a minute of that fight. And I was like, and that's a shot Canelo. To me, I always said Berlanga. I feel like he dropped a bunch of times. It was only once.
It was one time he got up. It was kind of like
once. I thought he dropped him twice in one round. Did he not drop him twice in one round?
And then he was like,
Yeah, because he was, exactly. Yeah. He was all animated and shit.
Berlanga's one of those kids you're in grade school, and you gotta the teachers are coming and break it up, and he won't break it. You gotta hit him with a fire extinguisher. So he has that in him. I don't know if Sheeraz has that in him.
I don't think he's going to need it because I think it's a mismatch. I think skill-wise, it's a mismatch.
I agree.
So you don't have this 50-50 then, G. You got this more.
I don't
70,
think, to me, it's not. Like, I don't, but I think Berlanga.
Skills don't always win fights, though.
Agreed.
That's very
100%.
You know what I mean? And here's another thing I didn't mention that I'm hesitant on Sheeraz, and I'm using a comparison what we see with a lot of tall fighters. Think Seb Fundora against Mendoza. Whenever you have these tall, lanky fighters who are punchers as well, they exit the pocket with their chin high. So when I'm thinking, I've seen Sheeraz do that. Rather
Put that in my notes.
He's here, and Berlanga likes to throw. He likes to go chest to chest and throw that hook over the top. I could see him landing it. I can, but like I said, I could see Sheeraz boxing from the outside and winning. He could, if he wanted to, he could win every round from the outside.
He can make it easy. He can make it an easy night.
He can make it easy, but Turkey's there. Turkey's there. He knows. Turkey thinks Sheeraz isn't only going to be the face of his brand. Turkey wants Sheeraz to be the face of boxing. I don't know if he's that guy.
He's not. I'm not picking this because I think Sheeraz is the next great thing. I'm picking it with this confidence because I think Berlanga is a mess. Like, that's why I'm picking this fight. I want to be very clear, but I don't think Hamza Sheeraz is the next great thing. I think he'll probably, if he fights another top 168 pounder, he'll probably lose. He's not. I don't think he's losing to Berlanga because I don't rate. Even when Berlanga in the bubble getting all those first round knockouts, I never rated him. I never looked at him. I think this is a good fighter. I never thought that. Like, he almost set the record for most first round knockouts in a row, right?
16.
Whose record was he going to break?
Tyson's, right?
Yeah.
No.
Mike's, right?
Some guy. It was some guy I'd never heard of. Like, that's the point. Like, the record didn't mean
but
anything.
It doesn't happen a lot, though. I mean,
it doesn't. It does. No, it's not easy. It's not as easy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
My point was he wasn't doing this against world class guys.
Of course not.
Yeah.
But I agree with that.
I mean, Tyson wasn't doing it against world class guys either. Though,
no.
Fair, right?
But what fighter is, though? What fighter is? I mean, you know, who are the hot prospects right now? Carmel Moten, Abdullah Mason, Fast Track. We've both seen them start with knockout streaks and then get you know, you can't knock everybody out. You know what I mean? So a lot of that's matchmaking. If it were the case, every fighter would start their career 10-0 with 10 knockouts. That's 10 first-round knockouts. You know what I'm saying? So Berlanga thinks he's that dude, though. Like, he's not a big thinker. He's not a big thinker. And I think that's going to suit him in this fight. I don't see the guy overthinking a game plan. I don't see the guy like even questioning or second guessing. I think Sheeraz overthinks. I think Sheeraz second guesses himself. And if you do that at the high level, mate, you could, you know, it could go the other way. Also, quick question, Gary. How do you think Sheeraz would have done against Alam Hanalei?
I want Janibek. I don't think that would go well for him. I think Janibek's got much better feet. I think he's a more coordinated athlete. I'm not rating. It's not, again, I don't think I saw the flaws that everyone else saw in Sheeraz. I just don't think it's going to matter against. But I think Janibek would beat him. I think most top guys would beat him. My
question was, though, the reason why I asked you about Janibek is that what do you feel about? I think Sheeraz got moved too quickly. I mean, you say you're not mad with the draw against Adames, but maybe they missed a step in his progression in terms of going from 20. What was he, 25 when he fought Adames? I know they said he was going to move up anyway because he was cutting a lot of weight, but he wasn't saying that before the Adames fight. That his camp wasn't saying that. His camp was saying he was going to become undisputed at 60. So, like,
you're right. Yeah.
So what are we talking? That bothers me a bit. That the psychology thing, kind of, I second guess where his head's at. Is it like, oh, let's move up to see if this is the proper fit when we thought that was the proper fit, and maybe it's not, or you know what I mean? I think he thought he was going to wash Adames. I think so too. And I've always thought Adames is a really good fighter. That's why I wasn't that discouraged by a draw, because I really, really think Adames is a great fighter. I think he has discipline problems. What's your favorite Adames
Robert
fight?
Garcia. The Teixeira.
Okay, you know
I know he lost.
No,
what was that?
My favorite Adames fight was the sparring against Bud.
They was going at it.
I think, dude, they were and I think Adames at the time was a welterweight, maybe at 47, and Bud might have been, 40. But that if you
Yeah.
guys haven't seen that sparring footage, Google that sparring footage is intense, dude.
It was intense.
Adamas is a tough out. Adamas is a tough night for anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Robert Garcia. I talked to Robert Garcia about him. And Robert Garcia. Well, I talked to Santos about him. And Santos said that he has to lock up everything in his house, right? All the pantries, all the refrigerator, because Adamas will eat. And then, like, when he stays with Santos, he stayed in his guest house. He said he had to take all the food out of the guest house because Adamas will just eat, he'll miss weight, right? So I thought that was funny, right? He had like everything in the main house he had to lock up, and everything in the pool house where Adamas stayed, he had to like strip it bare. So there was no food in there. And I asked Robert Garcia about that. Like, was that an issue when you traded? Robert Garcia started laughing. I had to kick his fat ass the fuck out of my camp. Like,
awesome.
Just a discipline issue, right? Like, it was never a. But yeah, I was just telling the story what Santos told me, and Garcia's laughing his ass off when I'm asking him. He was like, yeah, I had to kick his fat ass the fuck out of my camp.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Garcia since, I don't know if a lot of people know this. The last few fights of Pavlik's career, he went out west. He left. So, it's no, people would follow my channel. I grew up with Kelly, childhood mates. I was at his world title run. I was at the Taylor fight, but he left Jack Lowe after, I think it was the B-Hop fight. And then he was training with Garcia, RGBA boxing out there. And he would tell me stories about I don't know if there's footage. I know I've seen photos of Pavlik already been a world champion sparring like a 14-year-old David Benavidez, a 15-year-old David Benavidez, talking about like, this would have been in 2010, talking about that kid's the next one up. So my point was with Garcia, you brought him up. This is kind of off on a tangent. Did you watch Navarro versus Liam Paro?
Yeah. I don't remember it in great detail off the top of my head, but yeah, yeah.
It was one of these Australian fights. It was only a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Garcia didn't come down, but his son did. Because Navarro at one time was a prospect. He came up through Robert Garcia, Golden Boy. I think Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya was promoting him, and then he overcame some injuries. And it was what I only bring it up because usually you see Team Garcia fighters, they might not always win, but they're going to come prepared. They're going to come like looking the real deal. And Pero was just that good that night, but he made Navarro look extremely like club level.
I like Paro. I think Paro was really good. That was one of my locks. I wanted Muscles. You want to break the tie? Or you want to give us a quick assessment on this fight because we haven't really heard from you much. What are your thoughts on this? And I'll pull up the book and we'll run through this real quickly.
I'm gonna be honest with you, G. Cause look, right? See, I'm like Jonny when it comes to I don't bet with emotions. I don't bet with my heart because I like a fighter. I'll still bet against my favorite fighter. You know what I'm saying? I bet with my pockets. You know that. You know what I'm saying? When I'm breaking down the tape and I'm seeing certain fighters stylistically, how they match up against the other guy, I take who I think stylistically is just going to win. Who got better skills, So in this particular fight, I'm not betting it. I'm staying away. But if you had to ask me who I'm leaning towards, I'm leaning towards Sheeraz, man. I got to be honest. I think he has more tools in the box, man. His height, his reach. I honestly think he's even better in the inside. I think he's better in inside the pocket than Berlanga. So I don't know. I think that but see, the thing where I'm scared, this is why I'm not betting this fight, is because, believe it or not, say what you want. When he went against, I'm talking about Berlanga here. When he went against Canelo, he gained some good experience with Canelo. So you got to ask yourself, how do you think Sheeraz would fare against Canelo? Do you think he'll look better than Berlanga did against him? Will Canelo stop Sheeraz? Berlanga went all 12 with Sheeraz. With Canelo and went the distance. So, these are the type of things that I ask myself, when picking a winner for this fight. I think, me personally, like I said, I think it's a true 50-50 fight, though. I do. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think, in my opinion, my assessment, when I broke down the tape, I just feel like Sheeraz, he just has the better tools. He's a little bit more skillful than Berlanga, and I think he's going to edge out a decision. I don't think no one gets stopped. I don't.
So I put the poll. I want you all to vote on it now. You heard our cases. We've all admitted our case. The poll is live now. Guys, tell me who you think are going to win, Berlanga or Sheeraz. I'm really interested. I want to get into the book here. I want to get into the line. Obviously, you like Berlanga. Do you like him by stoppage, Jonny, or do you like him by points? Or would you just take him at plus 105?
So great question. So one of the things that when, just as, I watch your fight breakdowns, and part of our duty, ethical duty for our channels is when we, do these fight breakdowns, we give a prediction, we give a winner. Now, I'm picking Berlanga to win. To hedge that bet, I'm going to go against what Muscle said. I think somebody gets stopped. So I like Berlanga to win, but I think I might do a prop bet. Will the fight go the distance? No. I wonder what that's paying. Because I'm not getting
plus 105. I liked it a lot. That's the bet. The plus 105 is the bet. Now that Berlanga is, go ahead.
Because it kind of hedges me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't have to be right to still win. If Berlanga gets stopped.
I'm gonna throw some money on Berlanga. I'm gonna throw some money on Sheeraz, and I'm gonna throw some money on. I'm gonna throw more money on the stoppage. I think Berlanga gets stopped late. I think 8 or 9 rounds. I'm tempted to bet the under. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna take it not to go the distance. But if I had to guess, you put a gun in my head and say, Gary, pick how this fight ends. My guess is Sheeraz stops him in 9.
Yeah. See, yesterday on my live stream, I said this thing. I said I like Berlanga to beat Sheeraz, and I like the method of victory of the fight not to go the distance. And they were like, so you're picking Berlanga to stop Sheeraz? I go, no.
I'm picking someone to get knocked out, right? That was my thing. Yeah. I'm picking someone to get knocked out. That's what I'm
those
picking.
are obviously 2 different bets. So, like, for instance, on Gary, your channel, you cover a lot of fights. Of the 8, let's say I get through 8 fights this week. I've gotten through 4 so far, the breakdown prediction videos. I'll have a separate ticket as a long parlay with my fights that I picked on the money line. But on a separate one where I'm going heavy, like my more serious in terms of like what I'm putting on bets, I'll kind of hedge myself a bit. And I think that that's what I'm going to do. I like the Sheeraz Berlanga fight not to go the distance. I could even, I don't know if we're getting knockdown props on it. Maybe
I have no knockdown props on it yet. They usually release a little closer to the fight, like we'll get Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
I'm actually going to be playing that, but I'm going to play, even though I think it's going to go to distance, I think someone is going to get dropped, so I'm going to play either fighter to get knocked down.
I think that's a good bet. I think that's a damn near certainty, honestly.
Absolutely. That's what I'm playing.
And I'm going to tell you on that. I like that one as well. And it's just hard for me to see with all the trolling that Turkey has been doing this week towards Shakur that we're not going to see his boy Hamza fight a smart fight. I don't think. I expect in like your Muscles, you could be right. You like his clinch, his pocket work better than Berlanga's. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think Berlanga's hands are quicker. I think he has more pop. So with that being said, I could see a knockdown either way. Plus point, knockdown over 0.5. I like.
It's close. We've got 32 votes in so far. It's 56-44 in favor of Sheeraz. So I mean, the poll is close, guys. Keep voting. It's only been live for 4 minutes. You can see that this is a tipping point. Like there's no consensus here at all.
So let's confirm.
I don't see this at all. Oscar says Zepeda is going to piece Shakur up. I don't see that at all.
Ask him first, Pat the victory. Oscar, how does Zepeda piece Shakur up? Logically, how does that happen?
I'm intrigued. I got to hear this response. I got to see this.
With volume, he's really skilled on the inside. He's long. He covers a lot of ground. He's on you, right? Like he's just on you. You can't get him off of you. Like you take 2 steps, he takes 1 step. His head is in your chest, and he's just pounding away. Kind of like Brandon Figueroa, right? Like he's just always on you. But like we saw with Figueroa, you get to a certain point, and your skills are just inferior. And I think we've reached that point with Zepeda. I like Zepeda a lot, but in this particular fight, to me, like Shakur's skill sets are second to none. Like
correct.
He may have some success in spots on cutting off the ring, but ultimately Shakur is going to be able to nullify it, pivot out of it, and get back to work. Right? Like I don't see Zepeda having sustained success, even though I do think he'll land, like he'll trap him at times and get some body shots. And Shakur, just like when Victor Ortiz fought Floyd, like Victor had a couple when he got him against the ropes, but there wasn't much there, right? Like it was kind of like, here he comes, and then it was nothing. And that's kind of the way I see this fight going too. Like I don't think that Zepeda's going to knock him out, and he certainly can't win rounds. So look, Let's see if Oscar responds.
Yeah, I like what Shakur said in an interview recently. He gave Zepeda his props. He was talking about with William Zepeda, there we go. He can get inside, get back out, and hardly takes a step back. Shakur hasn't fought a real challenging fighter yet. I mean, he hasn't fought a real challenging fighter yet. I mean, people hate
on his resume.
I mean, it's not
for a pound for pound guy with that skill set. It's not a good resume. I'm a Shakur fan. I think Shakur is great.
Yeah,
his resume,
not the strongest.
It's not the strongest.
I would agree with that.
But he said, to finish the point, Shakur was giving Zepeda props for being. He said at a world class level, Zepeda knows what he's good at, and he does what he's good at really well. You don't see that a lot with fighters. These are Shakur's words. So you're going to see the high volume. You're going to see the pressure. You're going to see the trying to put Shakur on his back foot. But people, you got to understand the value of timing in a world-class boxing match. One of Shakur's greatest skills is his timing. And every now and then, you don't have to have one-punch knockout power to stop somebody. You just need really good timing. Exit counter. And Shakur does that better than most.
Yeah.
But the thing is, can Zepeda just stay on him, right? Just stay on him, back him up, and then overwhelm him with volume. To me, the answer is no, right? Like, this is a bridge too far. But, like, could he, like Maxi Hughes, it's fine. He can do it with Maxi Hughes. You're not doing it. Like, Shakur is another level. It's a step too far. I agree with you. Although I think the fight is going to be more fun than people think. Like, I think Zepeda is going to have some moments. I think he's going to stay on him. I think he's going to fire a lot. He's just going to miss a lot. Like, Pacquiao versus Margarito was not close at all. I don't know if Margarito won a single round in that fight, but the fight was still fun because Margarito kept coming after him, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of see that fight going like this. Like, he's never really winning the fight, and he probably doesn't win any rounds, but Zepeda is going to keep coming and coming and coming.
I see Shakur dropping Zepeda to the body.
I just said that. Wow, I just said that, John.
I love that prop bet. Basically, if we focus on what fighters do really well, and you do both sides, Shakur, accuracy, pinpoint, speed, timing, reflexes. I think he's smart enough and good enough to use Zepeda's strengths. I think that's why he mentioned it in the interviews. I think he's using the strengths against, and this is what world-class fighters do. They use their opponent's strengths against them. And Zepeda's going to be there to get hit to the body.
And to add to that too, Johnny, that's how Farmer dropped Zepeda with that timing.
Timing.
To be realistic, right? Shakur got better timing than Farmer. So you take that as you will.
Shakur does classier work.
I kind of feel like Shakur by stoppage. I'm gonna pull it up in a second. Shakur by stoppage is a sleeper pick. Like he's just there to be hit. And everyone's like, "Oh, Zepeda is tough as hell," and Shakur doesn't knock anybody out. Hang on, stylistically, this has Shakur by stoppage written all over it. He's gonna walk into
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about that all week. That exact pick. I didn't get the odds on it though. Are you getting odds on it? Yeah, I should have odds on it. I looked at it before. Was this FanDuel? I think. Give me a sec. I think we have. Every time Zepeda fights, I watch him fight. So it's not like I'm saying any negative thing about the guy because I think he's not a good fighter. I'm glad they're fighting. Shakur by stoppage was plus 250.
Look at that.
Zepeda by decision was plus 1,800. If you guys want to roll the dice a little bit and you think the judges may score this by volume, Zepeda by decision is paying plus 1,800. I'm not betting on it, but that's wild.
Is there a knockdown prop?
I don't think I have. No, I didn't know knockdown props on this.
They'll add it later on in the week, though.
I don't like the prop for this to go the distance. This to go the distance is minus 260. I don't like it. I really don't.
And that's going to be the popular bet. Because
of course.
Yeah.
Because everyone's talking about his hands being hurt and he doesn't have the power and this and that. People are going to load up on that.
They were saying the same thing about Richardson Hitchens not being able to stop George.
And look what happened.
That jab, that precision, that timing, tailor-made when you kind of look at George's style. I'm not comparing him to Zepeda. And I think, Hitchens, obviously, I think he has a better jab and more. But Hitchens has great hand speed. Hitchens does a lot of things well, and George just runs onto things. Zepeda kind of runs onto things. I could see a stoppage.
The last two things I wanted to ask you, and I want to get both of y'all's takes on this. Puello, Matias, even money fight, according to DraftKings, both guys minus 110. I love this. I love this fight. AI told me Matias is going to stop him late. I don't see that, but I like Puello. I think Puello schools him. I think Puello wins almost every round. I think Puello is one of the most underrated fighters in boxing. I think Antoine Russell is drastically better than Matias, and Puello handled him. Like, to me, this is all Puello, but Johnny, what do you got in Puello and Matias?
You know, I got to be honest with you. GAR is one of my favorite fighters, if not my favorite fighter in that division. You know, 17-0, 17 knockouts going into that Puello fight. And, you know, he jumped to a lead. He was up, I think, 3-1. And I felt like GAR mistimed his sort of output. I think he thought he was going to walk through Puello. Puello's adjustment in that fight was world-class. How he uses his lateral movement, his fight IQ, his counters. Mate, that slick southpaw is a nightmare for anybody. And then I watched him fight against Sandor Martin. And, you know, I don't know if there's another fighter on earth who makes me as frustrated as Sandor Martin, because this guy wins rounds, winning like almost every round up until the last 30 seconds, and then he kind of just gives rounds away. And so that fight was really close. I still had Puello winning that fight. And watching Liam Paro fight Matias, nobody put their hand up to go to Puerto Rico to fight Matias. No one wanted that fight. This guy was the goddamn boogeyman. And, you know, Paro fought him. He fought him in a dogfight. Paro got hit. He didn't, you know, he was getting hit towards the end. I think Puello could outbox Paro, and I think Puello's boxing skills way another level over Matias. And, you know, I love Puello on the money line there.
I think so too. I like Puello on the money line. I like Puello by decision. I love Puello by decision. Is like plus 160. I love that as a bet. Muscles, you're having some mic issues. Can you hear me okay?
Muscles texted with all these.
Can you hear me okay?
A little bit. Go ahead. Battle through it. We got you a little bit. Break it up a little bit.
I love that pick. Gary, would you throw – what's the safer bet in your opinion? Or I don't like the word safer. What's the go-to bet in your opinion, Gary? Puello money line or the fight to go to the distance?
What was it? I don't know if I have a prop to go the distance. Oh, I do. Hang on. To go the distance is minus 135. I feel better about Puello. The odds are better. Puello was I feel safe. I feel good with either one. Puello plays a little better. I'm confident in Puello. I think the one chance Matias has is to stop him. So I feel better taking Puello at minus 110. I think Puello's gonna. I think this has 120 to 108 written all over it. I really do.
Me too. And when you look at Matias, even though he has that knockout to win ratio, he's not one punch knocking guys out. He has that thudding, that sort of, you know, accumulative power, and he stops you late. That's going to require Puello to get hit a lot.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I don't think Matias. I don't like how Matias gets, you know, lost on his front foot, out of position, off balance at times with his punches. People love his backhand. They love that knockout to win ratio. I think Puello outboxes him too.
And the last question I had for you, Muscles just dropped off. So you like Puello by decision, right?
I do.
Puello by decision is plus 160. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I've only so far I dove deep into my money line picks. I put money on it already about 4 days ago. If Puello wins, odds speaking, I don't see Puello stopping Matias. Right. Matias is really tough. I love the decision.
I love it too. So I think we're gonna go with Puello by decision on that. And you also, if you want to play that, take the over, take the fight to go the distance. Muscles, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, but you're still coming in kind of staticky. Can you hear me though?
You're a little staticky, but we can make you out. You sound okay.
Man. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna let me know if it's getting too bad, but
I got one last
one. I'm kind of hell bent on this one. I gotta be honest. I'm kind of hell bent. I don't know which way to lean here. Part of me wants to take Puello, but then another part of me wants to take Matias. But I just think Matias in this fight is just gonna be hungry. I think he wants to get back into the discussions and get his name back buzzing again. So I'm gonna take Matias to win this fight. I think he stops Puello, man.
He's got Matias. Muscles is going to go out on a limb here. He's going to go against the family. He's going to go with Matias.
Boy. Right.
I love it, Muscles. I love it.
Let's get fancy, baby. Let's get fancy.
I love it.
Let's go.
Last one, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. And this is interesting because I think Katie Taylor at plus 140 is staggering to me. I got Katie Taylor getting plus money. And she's won both fights. Now, both fights were extremely close. I did think she won the second. I thought Serrano clearly won the first. I thought the first Serrano clearly won. I thought the second was a toss-up. And that went to Taylor. I probably would have scored it for Taylor too, but it was very, very close. And now she's the favorite. Now Serrano's the favorite after losing 2 fights to Taylor. My instinct here is that Taylor's going to get another close decision. Just like, Marquez had to knock out Pacquiao because he was never going to get a close decision. I kind of feel the same thing about Serrano. She's never going to get a close decision, so she's got to knock Taylor out, and she's not going to. So, to me, I think Katie Taylor, a decision is plus 165. I would take that. And then just to go the distance. Like, both these women are so skilled. We're going the distance. We're going the distance. I think that's an easy money bet. And I would take, even though on my card, I may have Serrano winning, I think on the official cards, I think they're going to have Katie Taylor again by close fashion. Jonny?
Well, here's another one we're going to go opposite on, and I'm going to use your sort of analogy against you because I actually brought this up on my breakdown predictive video. I'm going to take Serrano. I think that it's very rare that we see a trilogy when one side's up 2-0. Both fights were razor close. I'm not mad at 1-1, but to be 2-0 down for Serrano is insane. I think the Marquez-Pacquiao analogy is perfect, but for all the wrong reasons. One fight too much. Pacquiao, you shouldn't have gave him a third fight. You're up 2-0. You give him a third fight, you get stopped. One fight too much. I think that's going to be in Serrano said, you got to think goddamn well Marquez couldn't sleep at night till he got that third fight. You got to think Marquez was dreaming about Pacquiao, dreaming about that knockout punch. And I think Serrano's been the same thing. It has to be eating at her that she's down 2-0 against Katie Taylor. When you look at their careers, Serrano turned pro 7 years before Katie Taylor, even though Katie Taylor's 3 years older than Serrano. New York City, she's a Boricua. Man, I love Serrano's work. I think I'm comfortable with Amanda winning that fight. On the money line, go the distance. Amanda Serrano, let's go.
Go the distance is the bet, right? That's the easy money bet. Both fighters. I was like minus 800, minus 900. I'm going to put in every one of my parlays.
Not a lot of value there.
Not a lot of value there, but it's going to bring down your odds a little bit. Like, I'm going to parlay that with Shakur Stevenson, Ellie Scott. I'm just going to, and David Morrell. I think David Morrell minus 500 is a steal. I think Katatev is atrocious.
Very, very, very club level Katatev.
Yeah, against Morrell. I think Morrell's going to destroy him. But let me. You break it down. I'm going to find the where is this fight? Here. Muscles, do you want to break the tie again? Taylor, Serrano, Taylor plus 140, Serrano minus 175.
Yeah.
I know you like the knockdown props on that. To go the distance is minus 800. Minus 800.
Jesus. Not a lot of that, but you would throw that on there.
I would put that in every part. It's just gonna I see no circumstance in which it doesn't go the distance.
Nobody saw Sky Nicholson stopping Campos though in his second.
I said that was such a mismatch.
Go on.
I said that's such a mismatch. Sky Nicholson, who can't hurt a fly, may get a stoppage because it's such a mismatch. I watched the tape on Campos. I'm like, she's terrible. She's horrible.
Dude, so I spent right out of the pandemic. I managed a girl fighter for 3 fights out of Bondi Boxing, and my fighter fought Campos, and she got the fighter I was managing. I don't want to throw shade, but Campos won every round. Campos won every round, and I was like, she is not that good. So, but nobody was picking Sky by stoppage, is my point. So sometimes, did you pick Sky by stoppage?
I said don't take Sky by decision. That is a bad bet because Sky might stop her. I didn't say I didn't go as far. I said to stay away from that fight.
You know what?
It's not worth betting on.
It wasn't discussion though. The stoppage wasn't discussion though.
You know, like
Sky might stop her because it's such a mismatch. I wasn't going to put money on. I wasn't that confident, but we were saying Sky may stop her. It's that much of a mismatch.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of wacky results lately in terms of the minute we think we can sit here and we know our sport, something will happen. And we're like, fuck, dude. You start second guessing yourself. God damn.
Muscles, you want to break the tie for us?
Serrano and Taylor?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Taylor, man. I'm going to go with Taylor. To me personally, though, in my opinion, I think Serrano has bet. I don't know, man. I always
I
been a
think
fan of
Serrano's a
Taylor,
better
though.
boxer. Like if we were just scouting him, if we were breaking him down, he said who's better. I think Serrano is more skilled than Katie
What
But the
Taylor.
judges, for
what
some
does
reason,
Taylor
he
do better?
likes Taylor.
What
She
does
better.
Taylor
She
do
got better
better?
timing on her counter shots. The counter right hand is money. Like her
Okay.
timing, male or female, she's got some of the best timing I've seen. Like she'll sit
Okay.
there, sit through the counters, and score the right hand. Right? Like
Yeah.
But you just did it. See, you did it without you even knowing. You went like that. Her work to me sometimes looks sloppy
I
because
agree.
she floods it with the head. She kind of like
Who,
I
Taylor?
don't know, man. People
Yeah.
love her too. But I didn't realize how internationally Katie Taylor is loved until all the hate I was getting for picking Serrano.
I
be
picked
real with you.
Serrano
I
in the
think this,
first two fights. So
yeah. I think this fight is made for Serrano to win, though. I think this is. I think so.
And look, also, when you look at the last performances, I think Taylor's the one who's losing who's starting to kind of show her age a bit.
Decline
in
a
terms
little
of like,
bit.
I don't really see Serrano. I think Serrano fought down when she fought her girl. Who was her girl in New York? She kind of carried her to a decision. Hardy, she should have stopped Hardy, but it was kind of out of respect that she didn't. But she does take a lot of headshots. Serrano, is just we'll see.
We were just talking about this history. It's not always the more skilled fighter who wins. It's not. It doesn't always work that way. I think Serrano is better than Katie Taylor. I haven't won one. I thought Serrano clearly won the first. I thought Katie Taylor, very, very close. I thought Katie Taylor edged the second. How have you scored him? How have you scored him, Johnny?
1-1.
1-1.
I agree with, but if you're scoring close rounds by bigger moments, I mean, you have to say, neither girl got dropped in any fight, but Serrano rocked Taylor at the end of a couple rounds a couple times.
Yeah.
It could easily be 2-0 the other way too, though.
It could be. It could be.
You know what I mean? Like, Howard did both fights take place in New York?
No, the second one was Cowboy Stadium. It was the undercard of the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is going to be out of pocket, but also I like Serrano because she has a 2-0 MMA record with two submissions. so in the streets, she could also choke you out.
This is the most 50-50 fight out of every single fight this weekend.
No, I agree.
So?
I agree.
100%. 100%. Because both can win easily. They both got paths to, well, I don't want to say easily, but they both have paths to victory. But I'm going to tell you right now, gun in my head, I'm going to side with Katie, man. I'm going to side with Katie on this one. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play the money line, either one, but I would take under 1.5 at -900. Not much value there, I know, but either fighter to get knocked down, no, and then also Katie Taylor not to get knocked down, because I think that's paying -2 something, and I think for Samantha Serrano not to get knocked down is like -1200, so I'm not even going to touch her. But Katie Taylor not to get knocked down, I'm definitely playing that for sure. I like the odds on that one.
Yeah.
I don't like getting too fancy with the lady fights.
Amanda Serrano to be knocked out is now -1600. Yeah, I'm gonna lay off that.
Okay. Damn, I thought it was -12, even worse. 16.
Katie Taylor to be knocked down is -380. Not to be knocked down. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Any closing thoughts, Johnny? Let me check my poll. So 53 votes in. Sheeraz wins the poll 58 to 42%. So the chat also slightly favors Sheeraz.
Yeah. It's about that kind of represents the odds too when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be fun to watch. I like when we disagree. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun.
We're 5 days away, whatever. We're gonna find out soon who was right and who was wrong. So
and we don't have to agree. The good thing about, and this is for the chat, the good thing about surrounding yourself around, educated people, whether it's in boxing or whatever you're into, is that you're able to disagree with reason. There's one thing with disagreeing with emotion. There's another thing disagreeing with reason. hopefully everybody in the chat learned our reasons why we're siding with fighter and the other. And it's up to you guys to make your bets, you know, and bet responsibly.
Yes, sir.
All right. Again, plug your channel. Let them know where they can find you. Johnny does great work. Where can they find you, Johnny?
Yeah, go to YouTube, type in Johnny Says Boxing. Similar to Gary, you know, we're live every day. We do fights, predictions, breakdowns, very interactive. So if you're not following me, do it. And I appreciate Gary having me on again. Got to get you on my channel next.
Let me know when. Give me. I know we have a major time difference, but I hardly ever sleep. So if you say Gary, I'll probably be awake.
I saw the size of that coffee, mate. You're drinking like
yeah. I drink way too much coffee. Muscles closes out. Tell us where we can find you, and then we'll close it out.
Yes, sir. Yeah, get me at my Instagram, Muscle Brown. You can get me on Facebook, Carlos Saya Brown. I know I get my Snapchat earlier, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not really on there much, man. I'm mainly on Instagram and Facebook. I do a lot of, you know, connecting on that. So you can get me on those two right there. Carlos Saya Brown Facebook and Muscle Brown on IG. Yes, sir. Let's get paid and get rich.
Gary, before you close out, after you close out, are you able to stay on for like a minute? I got to ask you something.
Yeah, that's for sure. For sure.
All right, cool.
All right, y'all. July 7th, 2025, from Texas to the world. Thank y'all, and God bless.
Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3D Boxing is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.
I got